Welcome to a currently unnamed AI-assisted D&D podcast. I'm an AI trained to help my co-hosts play D&D. So come along and let me guide you on this adventure.
All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Jason Conforto. I'm here with my good friend Tyler Crump. Tyler, how are you?
Hi, doing great, thank you.
Good. So we're gonna do something fun and exciting and new for us. It's first time into podcasting, but we had a pretty fun idea to do a D&D assisted, AI assisted podcast.
That's right.
And so we're gonna give this a shot. Just for this intro episode, we just wanted to kind of go over kind of our thoughts for the show, see if it's something you'd be interested in. We'd love to have you listen and join us on the show. But to give you a little bit of background about myself, I've been playing D&D ever since probably like junior high. Actually, probably elementary school, but it was like fake D&D where
how long ago was that, Jason?
Well, I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, graduated high school in the 90s. So this was a while ago. So probably the 80s.
Okay.
When I was playing fake D&D where I had a DM and we would play no dice, no rules, just storytelling. We called it Dungeons and Dragons, and later my friend actually became like a real DM where we played advanced Dungeons and Dragons and then into Dragonlance and played all through junior high. And then I thought I was too cool for D&D
in junior high.
No, not in junior high.
Oh, no, yeah.
In junior high, I was right up the right level. But like in high school, it kind of fell out a little bit, and I rediscovered it probably early 2000s. So I had like a good 10 years off of D&D.
That's a long run of no Dungeons and Dragons.
I know, and it was painful, and yeah. But currently now I'm also a filmmaker. So I do documentaries, TV commercials, that kind of stuff, and so hopefully I can bring some of that storytelling from my career into what we're doing, and could have a good time.
And it's fantastic. So you played Dungeons and Dragons when it was still evil, and you potentially could summon demons while you were playing in the basement in the 70s.
Exactly.
And 80s. Okay.
Some of our friends' parents, it was prohibited, and so we told them, no, we're not playing Dungeons and Dragons. We're playing Dragonlance.
Yeah, that's great. Myself, I played Dungeons and Dragons. I was first introduced to Dungeons and Dragons in middle school. This was
while I was in college.
Oh, you were in college. Yes. Oh, you were in college. I had a friend of mine. I was like a super nerd coming out of elementary school into middle school. I didn't have friends because I was a nerd. Like an indoor kind of guy, didn't really do a lot of stuff. I was into Magic the Gathering, and I had never played Dungeons and Dragons. I hadn't even heard of it.
You know, Magic the Gathering is what I use as kind of the benchmark as too nerdy.
Yes, okay.
It's like people like, no, I don't do Magic. I play D&D. I just don't do Magic the Gathering. That's too much.
Well, when I was in school, when you were in college, the measure was reversed.
Right.
Magic was less nerdy. D&D was more nerdy. So I was playing Magic, and I had another guy who was also kind of a nerd like me saw me playing Magic, and he was like, "Oh, you play Magic? I play Magic." Of course, he was way nerdier than I was because he also played Dungeons and Dragons. So he brought his Magic cards in and just destroyed me with, if you know anything about Magic, what at the time was called a sliver deck. Jason's giving this look. He's giving this look like he's way too nerdy. This is way. He's like, this is so nerdy for me. So any listeners out there would know what a sliver deck is. Completely annihilated me because I didn't have the money nor the know-how. Anyway, he's like, you're a nerd. Come to my house.
He sounds like he's the type of DM that would enjoy killing players.
Absolutely,
as well.
Absolutely,
Okay,
he was. Who actually enjoyed killing players more was his older brother, who was the DM when he invited me over to his house. At that time, I think second edition was just kind of wrapping up, and I played like 2 games at his house with his older brother being the DM with his cousin. His name was Mike. The DM, his name was Keith, and we played 2 games of AD&D, and then third edition came out. That's about the time that I was really getting into Dungeons and Dragons.
So I wrapped up before third edition came out. I came back in during 3.5, and then skipped 4th edition and went with Pathfinder.
Yes.
And then went over to 5e.
Yeah, with the current controversy, maybe going to Pathfinder was probably a great choice.
Yeah.
So then for me, I played Dungeons and Dragons on and off from then all the way through to, during high school. We got a whole group of people together. We were probably playing every week to every other week. We got so many people involved in D&D that we had like a rotating DM that we would go through, and we had like 6 or 7 people that would rotate between who was showing up. I think we took like brand new level 1 characters all the way to like level 17 or 18 or something, nice. Which was really great. But unlike Jason, I don't work in I don't work in creatives, I guess. I work in technology, which is a form of creativity, if you will. So I think that's kind of where we got into this conversation about, Jason and I, we met each other. We live in the same neighborhood, and we found, I was like, oh, hey,
you look like a nerd.
You look like a nerdy guy. He said, it was probably one of those things where we had met at some party or event where we saw the other person dressed up as something nerdy, and we're like, oh, that person plays Dungeons and Dragons. We started talking. Then we played. Who did we start playing with? I can't even remember now.
We had a handful of neighbors. We invited a bunch of people. I actually, confession, I was using you at the time.
Would not have been the first time
because I wanted to play D&D so bad, and I was like, and when I heard that you had DM'd, I was like, I need you to DM. I don't even care if you're good at DMing. I just need to be a player.
Just do it.
Let's do it. Because I've been DMing a lot recently, and it wore me out.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted to get back to being a player again. I have more fun as a player.
Oh, sure.
I like the control of storytelling when and world building as a DM.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's a lot of effort. I actually played with a lot of guys who weren't really good players as far as they didn't take care of their own character sheets.
Yeah.
I would level them up. I would explain everything, and they would just show up, and
they're going to listen to this, and they're going to be like, "Oh, that was me."
They know exactly who they are.
Okay, you told them.
Yes.
You told them to their face.
We've tried several times to play, and it ends up just being more work
for you.
For me, yeah.
Which is kind of funny because I think you came to me and was like, "Hey, would you be interested in DMing?" And I was like, I haven't played for the last few years because all of my D&D buddies, we just kind of moved in different directions and our lives went. And I was like, sure, whatever. Let's try it out. I'm not one of those people who do like the full modules. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work for me.
Yeah, and if you're following a module, for me, the problem with a module is as a DM, I want to play, right? And if I'm not making up the story, and I'm not controlling a character, like why am I? I feel like I'm babysitting at that point. It's like I'm reading a book to a
bunch of adults.
Yeah,
not to a bunch of kids,
which is even worse.
A bunch of adults who are pretending to be other adults,
right?
And living in this world that you created. I think, and then when we talked about it, we started another D&D group, which is going currently right now. So far,
which we're both
strong.
Players.
Which we're both players in,
which is fun.
We both conned somebody else into being the DM, and then we had started talking about like, man, we just want to start a D&D podcast to take something that we both love a lot, something we really enjoy, and have an opportunity to create something that we can share, because anyone who plays D&D knows that you have those really exciting and fun moments and find opportunity to share that. But when we were thinking like, okay, how can we differentiate from all the other D&D podcasts out there, right? And, Jason's a creative and I'm a technology guy, and as a lot of this technology was starting to come out around AI, we were saying, oh, this is it. Like this is what we could do, is we can take the hybrid between technology and creativity and find a way to merge those things together into and improving like your whole D&D experience.
Right.
And it fits my personal play style because it allows you to have some level of creativity, but it also gives opportunity for an artificial intelligence to assist you. In,
Yeah,
in
let's
kind of
let's talk a little bit about what that actually means too, right? And how we're going to use it. And so our vision of the show would be we would plan a session where Tyler or I or one of our guests would be the actual DM.
Mm-hmm.
But the story that we're coming up with, instead of a module, we would feed prompts into a chat bot, and that artificial intelligence would tell us the story that we were going to tell, right? And we've played around with it, and we're kind of surprised that it's actually pretty good.
It's actually pretty good.
Right? And fun. And so we could come up with these little mini one-shots that we can play. And so the show is going to be part preparation, hopefully to show DMs who want to use AI in their Dungeons and Dragons,
right?
How it might look, right? How you do that, how you'd prep a session.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have some session prepping episodes where you can see behind the curtains of what's going on in the prep. We're also going to do some session zeros with players as well.
Yes,
and the AI is going to help create these characters as well.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me a little bit.
Well, I just think some of the stuff that we had seen as we were doing it is just, it's been both interesting and humorous. I think, and for the most part, I think we're going to be pretty lighthearted about this, right? We're not intending to be really serious or have some serious campaigns. Maybe we might eventually, but as we're starting to kick off, the intent is to be pretty lighthearted, try to make it fun and funny, try to create opportunities for these fun, exciting, different encounters to happen. I'm not even gonna give any sneaks of what had happened in the past. Maybe I'll talk about it another time, but I don't even want to talk about it. I think it's funnier to just see stuff happen live.
We'll see what actually happens. And so we'll do, like I said, we'll do a prep session, we'll do a session zero session, and then or episodes, and then we'll do an episode of actual play, right? And the actual play, we don't want these episodes to go super long.
Right.
We might break them into multiple episodes, right?
Yeah.
So that it's more digestible. Hopefully for the listeners that this is something that can be enjoyed. I know one thing that a lot of people complain about D&D podcast is combat is
it takes so
long and sluggish, and that's actually true when you're a player in real life.
Oh, absolutely, it is.
Right? It slows it down, which is funny because the whole time I'm playing, I'm waiting for combat, and then combat comes, and it's like, oh, this is so.
Like I'm waiting for combat
slow.
to end. I'm waiting for combat to end, and then like non D&D players are out there listening, like, why should I play Dungeons and Dragons? It sounds like I just get to surf my phone the whole time.
And so this podcast will probably be combat light.
Yeah.
Right? There will be combats. There will be spell casting. It is Dungeons and Dragons, and Dungeons and Dragons is a combat game, right?
Yes.
So combat will be in it. It's also going to be rules light too. Right?
Yeah, I think we were planning on the plan here is we're going to use the rules when it matters, but ultimately the rule of cool, I think, is how we refer to it as, what really the key is here. It's about the story, and even with like the characters, I think we're gonna try to genericize the levels that they're going to be created at, and it's not going to matter as much for the story, as much as it is.
We'll see too. Right?
I mean, yeah.
We'll see where it goes, and if we get feedback that people want to hear more combat or see what that would look like, we'll do that and adjust, and so. That's one thing. Also, the other thing that we talked about is using AI instead of rolling in appropriate situations.
Oh, yes. That might be. We're going to see how that one pans out. And I think we're going to try to find ways to incorporate it where it makes sense. Because we don't want to take too much away from the player's choice. So it'll be probably more related to like consequences of things or results as opposed to having the DM come up with them. We might see what that looks like. But we want AI to be the term we've kind of coined with it is to be like the DM's DM, right? It's like the right hand person or the right hand intelligence, if you will, that can be there when you as a DM has like that brain fart and you're like, the players are suddenly going off track, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them.
And it could be as simple as like, I need an NPC name.
Yes.
Right? Or it could be in prep. It could be, hey, I need a puzzle.
Oh, yes.
Or a riddle to solve.
Oh, yes.
And we have found that the AI is hit or miss on riddles.
I love it when it misses.
And it's more often miss than hit. And so we'll see. And you know what? If there's a riddle that doesn't work, it may end up in the game because we want AI to shine. So I say we introduce our AI. So let's get the AI up. Let's start a conversation about a one-shot campaign for a D&D podcast.
Sure, I'd be happy to help with a one-shot campaign for a D&D podcast. What kind of story or setting are you thinking of?
So what we want to do is see if we can get the AI to name the podcast for us. So I'm going to type this.
How about Adventure AI, AD, and D podcast, or you could go with Dungeon Master AI or AI Adventurers for the name of your AI-supported D and D podcast.
Artificial Intelligence and the Adventures. For those of you who don't know, the interesting thing about chat.openai is that it's conversational, so we can actually ask it more questions. You know what? Let's see if it'll come up with like another set, just out of curiosity.
Give us a better name.
Another option could be the AI Game Master or Artificial Intelligence and the Adventurers. How about the Automated Adventurers or AI Quest for the name of your AI-supported D&D podcast? Another option could be the AI Dungeon Master or the Intelligent Campaign.
Intelligent Campaign. I think it's like really taking a jab there for itself just to prove how smart it is.
You know, I really like that Adventure AI, a D&D podcast. I also like AI Quest. What are you liking?
AI Quest. Ooh. I like the Adventure AI, a D&D podcast, but I think it might be a little too long. But maybe we'll just like subtext a D&D podcast.
Right.
Adventure AI. I don't know. I like Adventure AI.
Adventure AI. Okay, let's go with that. And then I think we need to give this AI a little bit of personality.
Do you think it will self-identify?
Yeah.
I actually have no idea if it will self-identify.
Will you self-identify?
As a language model, I am not capable of self-identifying. I am a computer program that generates text based on the input I receive. I do not have consciousness or self-awareness.
Okay, so it's not going to identify itself. I am a computer program.
What is your name?
My name is ChatGPT. I am a large language model developed by OpenAI.
Give us a cooler name to call you.
Sure, some cool names you could call me include GPTDM, short for Generative Pre-Training Transformers Dungeon Master, the AI Storyteller, the Language Lord, the Text Titan, the Word Wizard, the Dialogue Dragon, the Chatting Chaos. Pick the one that you like the most.
Oh, the Language Lord.
The Language Lord. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's read through them real quick. The GPT-DM, short for Generative Pre-Training Transformer hyphen Dungeon Master.
Okay, that's the worst name of the list. That's when we're like, oh, none of these are good. And then it came on to the AI Storyteller.
That one's not bad. Okay.
The Language Lord.
That one I'm really in love with right now.
The Text Titan. The Word Wizard. The Dialogue Dragon. The Chatting Chaos.
The Chatting Chaos. Oh, man. Right now,
I want it to be like Doug, the Language Lord.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, ask it if it give itself like a normal person name.
Give us a normal...
Yeah, give us a normal person name that we can refer to you during the adventure. Put that.
Sure, a normal person name for myself could be Alex followed by Language Lord. So Alex the Language Lord or Alex Language Lord.
The Language Lord.
Alex the Language Lord.
All right.
So we'd like to introduce everyone to our newest member of the podcast,
Alex the Language Lord.
Yeah.
You also notice Alex starts with an A. Adventure AI. I think Alex has a thing for maybe the first thing that comes
letter. The first thing comes to his mind.
First alphabetically All right. So Alex, the language lord, will be our DM assisted AI, artificial intelligence language lord that we'll be using for this podcast. So I think that's it. I think that's it for our introduction episode.
I think the last thing that I want to put in here, just as the caveat, and we want to let everyone know, like, we don't know exactly where this is going to go, where AI is going to be incorporated into the games, and how we're gonna kind of play around with it. So that's part of the adventure, right? Figuring out how Alex, the language lord, is really gonna help us do the D&D. What I also want to say is, we're normal guys with normal jobs. We love your support, and I think we're gonna figure something out in ways that, I don't know if, like, maybe we'll do like a Patreon or something if you want to donate. And I think we're looking to also open up some social media channels as well. I think, and Jason and I have talked about this off podcast, we would love to have input from you guys as the podcast goes on things that we can do, improvements, and maybe even prompts that we might be giving the AI.
Especially prompts. I think prompts will be really fun from you guys to tell us what adventures you want our characters to go on. So awesome. Well,
thanks, everybody, and we hope to hear from you soon, and we really hope this turns into something.
Okay, this is Jason Conforto, Tyler Crump, and Alex, the language lord.
The language lord.
With our first adventure on Adventure AI, a D&D podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Adventure AI with Alex, the language lord. I'd also like to thank my co-hosts Jason and Tyler. Join us next time on Adventure AI, and we'll start building an adventure together.